There he
Can
is.
you?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, great. Well, I've been collecting PEZ since, well, actually, I started a convention in 1993, and that ran for 22 years. But the first dispenser I ever got in my own collection was Mr. Ugly back in 1970. Before that, I got dispensers from my mother. She'd buy them for me at the store. I'd eat the candy, break the head off, and tell her, oh, it broke, will you buy me another one? And I didn't start keeping them till Mr. Ugly. That was 1970. But let me try to switch this around. Again, yes, I'm one of those older guys that has trouble doing all this. So bear with me. Okay, and
All
again,
right.
lighting is not that great up here, but I also like paper items a lot. So when I first started displaying paper, I would buy these frames that were 2 for $5. And then as time went on, the dollar stores started coming around and I could get them even cheaper, where they're like $1 each actually. And so this paperwork, am I going too slow or fast? This paperwork,
No, you're doing good.
okay. This paperwork at the time, I want to say 25 years ago, I wasn't as concerned about it. And again, paper's always been like 10 times harder to find than the plastic, the dispensers. But luckily for me, not a lot of people collect the paper. So that's good for me. And my paper collection would be nothing without people like David Welch, John Laspina, Joe Paravati. The list goes on and on. People that helped me get what I have. And again, I'm having troubles telling if I'm going on the right row again or not.
I'll let you know if you're going down the same one.
All right, thanks. This is kind of a weird piece. This came out in 4 different sizes, and it's just one I actually like.
Yeah.
And now this is a row of Christmas ones.
Yes. There's things that I enjoy it.
And then Peter Pez is one of my favorites, as is with the next presenter, which is Doug. He's got a lot of Peter Pez stuff also. That's just a little Peter Pez display. And then I love the Erie Specters. I'll show more about that later. And this was a mail-away premium for a flashlight. I think the flashlight goes for a few $100s now. I believe that was from the 1980s. These two look the same, but they're actually not. Pez was clever enough to get 2 different ads. Again, the box is different, their display box. And if you look, the dispensers, the artwork that they did are basically the same things, only in different positions, if you can see that. And then here's where you find out that the night was actually called Sir Archibald. A lot of people don't even know that. From the Pez company. And here again, the same similar artwork, and then different stems a different color. Also, I'm a big fan of header cards. This is a row. Mr. Ugly is a very nice one, of course. Like that because of the first dispenser I started keeping. Also, Landon was talking about people that have their bathroom with Pez in it. Well, this is one of those bathrooms with Pez in it. So, because it's Easter, here's the Easter cards artwork. And this one actually talks about, for a salesman, you get a box of Pez, it's $6, that's the retail price, but you only pay $4, so you make a 33 1/3% profit. Like that was a big deal then. And here's just a mishmash of items. Also, I'm a big fan of Popeye. and of course Casper. And this poster, which you can get those fairly reasonable, but that frame, and then that's got the museum glass on it, that jacks up the price of that a lot more. Also, this was Sue and Steve Hurley. I had them make this for me. They did a fantastic job of this. That's actually on aluminum, and it floats away from the wall, but it's the Swamp Thing. And then here is from Minnesota's 10th, 11th, and 12th convention. I just really like the artwork that they did for those. They did posters. And I actually wouldn't even have these if it wasn't for Jerry Battenfield. He sold those one year, and I was lucky enough to get those from him. Also, straight ahead of me, this Tweety Bird is actually, Rhonda Rasmussen owned it for a while, was selling it at a convention, called, and my wife loves Tweety Bird. Well, anyway, called our house and said it was for sale. Marion answered, and she didn't want to spend the money for it. When I found out about it, I called her back and said, we're taking it. She goes, you want to know the price? I don't care, we're taking it. And her and Adam were nice enough to actually deliver it to our house and help us get it down here in the basement, which I don't think we could have done without their help. But here's some more displays. And then here's what I do with a lot of things. This track that you see behind there that's holding all this stuff in place is actually J-track that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. It comes in like 8-foot sections, and it's really made for drywall, but it really works good for displaying things like this. And of course, all these little plastic boxes are made for baseball cards and stuff. And they work perfect for our candy and for the pins and whatnot. And then just to give you an idea of what that stuff looks like on a wall full of it. I don't know if you can see that well from here. And then Landon, if you're listening, here's something in honor of your visit to our house. Remember pecan punch? And
I remember, how could I forget?
And this is one of the things that was nice enough to give us from his epic trip in 2018. And I still have memories of that, flashbacks, I should say. Here's a bunch of header cards. I'm big fans of these smaller size header cards. This one you'll probably never see again. The elephant one, very, very hard to get. This one, not as hard to get, but well liked by many. Here's that same artwork I was telling you about before. Comes around in a lot of things. This one's hard to get because of the feather usually is bent off it. Again, here's some more items, basically just more paperwork. Over here, again, I like to use that J-track. It works really well to hold all the PEZ. This wall's really got nothing exceptional except this bottom row. There's a lot of dispenser, these little watch tabs or whatever they're calling them. They're really hard to find. They're not expensive, they're just hard to find. Let's see. Over here on this wall, there's a whole row of misfits, or things missing pieces. I'll just go slow enough so you can see some of them. One of them I get a kick of many, many years ago. This green one right here, John Laspina had it at a show. It was $10. And I bought it, and he couldn't believe I would spend $10 for it. I just thought that was so cool that it made it out of the factory like that with, you know, nothing. Anyway, again, more different items. Also up here, these are a row of fantasy PEZ, hand painted, some other kind of strange items. And then my best hitter card I've ever gotten is right here. That used to belong to Brian Joskowski. I got it this year. I thank him very much. I was never on. I never thought I would own it. Very, very hard to get. There's reproductions, but that's the real deal. This is another tough one to get. Let's see. Here's a couple from my conventions. 17th, 18th, and 19th. We had special convention pen dispensers that you could win, like in bingo or things like that. They were fantasy ones. Here's another very hard to get old paperwork from the late 50s. The problem with this one is that they reproduce that in a metal tin. So the value of that's probably gone down a lot. Doesn't matter to me, but I'm really happy to have it anyway. Again, more header cards. Some harder to get than others. This, as seen on TV, PEZ didn't do a lot on TV, but there's a header card that said they did do something eventually. And again, I'm a fan of Peter PEZ, so there's a whole bunch of stuff. 2 cards that hold dispensers, and I mainly wanted them because the little corner says Peter PEZ, you know, licensed product. Now, also one of the years I had Michael Brummett, who's a great PEZ artist. I commissioned him to make this for my auction, my charity auction, which he did. So I think I got him, I think I paid him about $300 or $350 just to pay for all the material and stuff to do it, and his time, and which he donated lots of time because it took so long to make this. Anyway, I ended up winning it back from the charity auction. So my winning bid was $900. So, but I still remember that one. That's something I really, really like. Also, I'm a big fan of candy. So this is part of my candy collection. And again, it's the candy boxes also. And like the earlier Brian Jaskowski said, even if they don't have candy in them, they're just so hard to come across that, you know, I'm just, uh-oh, I must have did something there. Am I still on? I lost my, okay, all right. I touched something, I don't know what I did.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
You're good now.
Okay. These boxes don't come up very often either, these 4. I got those about 3 years ago. This is an interesting one too. It was a candy pack for 15 cents, but it shows a guy and a girl and they're older, and it says for uninhibited closeness. So whatever they mean by that, I don't know. But that wasn't a typical thing that PEZ did. Okay, now I'm getting back down into more candy. And a lot of these are single packs. And you'll notice in the background, there's some containers that are basically desiccants that keep this from getting all moist or ruined. Because I have had a lot of candy in the past get destroyed from moisture. And I would be crying real tears if it happened in this whole display case.
John, where do you get those Desiccant Packs?
Oh, these types that you can see on the back wall there, I got that from Costco actually. You get a 2-pack, I want to say like 20-something, and they're a lot handier than this canister. The canister you got to cook in the oven for 2.5 hours. This other thing has a plug in the back. You stick it in the wall for a few hours, and in the front there's some colored beads that turn from blue to orange. Once they're orange, that means they're fully recharged, and you put them back in there. And when you see them turn dark blue, it's time to recharge. And then as you can see, I have a little gauge there. That orange thing, it says it's 45. That's the humidity in there, and the temperature is 65. And again, in this particular cabinet, really, ideally, you want the candy to be under 40, but you want the paper to be under 60. So the happy medium for me is about 45 or 50. But I don't ever want to get, when I had candy damage, the humidity was about 65. So I always try to stay under that. I'll go farther over. This is kind of a neat thing that PEZ, these little boxes, let me see if I can find another one of the same box. Okay, here's the same box. PEZ would use the box over and over. So originally it looked like that. And then for Christmas, they just put this sticker on it and fill it with Christmas Pez. So I could use that paper over and over. This is another great, now I won this at another, I believe it was a charity auction in Minnesota. Again, this is another one done by the Brummets. Really happy to have that also. Have another, the nurse right in front of it just to show it. And excuse me a second, I'm going to walk fast to get to the display that shows how that was made, or the art. I don't know if you can see that. That's the stages of making that. And then he also made this particular one, this blue guy right here. And the person who won this in the past was David Welch. And many years later, I ran a convention, like I said, 22 years, David actually gave me something for free, and this was it. David actually gave me this. He was saying, you know, you can have it, but I don't want you to see you selling it down the road. I told him that's not gonna, you don't have to worry, that'll be here forever. And it is. This is another interesting story. This was from one of the years at the PEZ convention, let's see, Pezomania. I was at a table across from Zelmer, Tom Zelmer, and this was a silent auction, and it was for a signed Peter Mayhew dispenser. I ended up winning, but I was actually busy at my table, and I asked Zelmer to go pick it up for me. He did, and when he brought it back with this dispenser, and I said, okay, thanks. And later he came over to me and said, are you okay with that? I said, sure, thanks for picking it up. He goes, no, what did you think of that signature? Wasn't it sloppy? I said, well, yeah, but I don't care. And then he came and gave me the real one. That's what came with it. He gave me that one, and he thought I'd notice, and I didn't. Of course, Tom's actually pretty honest, so he gave me it back, but I thought that was a great story. I've been telling people that one ever since. Also, now I'm at, this is dispensers. These actually were ruined. I mean, totally ruined. And thanks to my good friend, Michael Bazzano, he fixed these. I mean, these were just goo, but he was able to restore those. All these items right here were just ruined with all the candy had melted and turned into goo, but he was able to restore every one of those, which was really, I was very thankful for that. Also, we were talking about, these are some neat items too. Jessica gave me these. I'm very, very proud of having those in my collection. I've also, these are from Brian Joskowski. This was that pet rock someone did one year. I forgot who did it, but I enjoyed that. This, you don't see this very often. These items are actually from the PEZ company, but it's the Unimint PEZ. So you just find those very often, and then I actually have the little pieces that came with it. I actually upgraded this. I've been looking for it for many, many years, and that's the second one I've had. The first one wasn't in as good a shape, but that was an expensive upgrade. Again, love Peter Pez. So this is a cookie jar. When these came out, they were actually $235. So since then, they've gone down a lot. People don't realize how tough those are to get. I used to have two of them. The other one now is in Brian Joskowski's collection. But I made a trade with him for something I really wanted. This is another really, really tough Peter Pez item. I've only seen one other ever. And then this display is also Peter Pez. You don't, it's a spinner rack. You don't see that come up either very often. Okay, something happened again.
Yeah, it is a little frozen. Let's see.
Okay, I'm trying to get it back. I don't know what, okay. Am I okay again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Again, Peter Pez stuff. So all this is Peter Pez over here. And then let me get some more lighting back on. I know I'm walking away here. So this is something I've only seen once before. It's just a little Peter PEZ puzzle. And thanks to David Welch, I have that now. I thought I'd never own one of those. So I was shocked to even see it again. Again, more Peter PEZ items all over the place. This is the original artwork for the Peter PEZ pin. I think that was something Steve Glue did way, way back in the beginning of collecting, you know, stuff, PEZ collectors being as popular as they are now. Also, these dispensers that say Cool PEZ Man, Jim Blaine's father did those for me. I made a trade with Jim Blaine. So I was very happy to get that. And again, this is just another way of displaying a bunch of clown stuff, Peter PEZ and whatnot. This is a really old trolley sign. That's pretty hard to come across. And that's a cardboard sign. That's also kind of neat. Also, I like anything with clickers. So there's a clicker paper sign. And then over here, I'm trying to get to, this is more clickers, the clicker box, more paper about clickers, and then just two little ads about clickers. And then this weird one. This one I have seen a few times. And then here is from FX from different years. These rarely come up for sale ever. The ones that actually have the hats. They're very, very, very hard to find. I know a lot of people have the hand ones, which are very neat too. I don't have a set of those. I have a few. This is another very tough box to get, although I'm sorry about the lighting. This is another real hard to get box.
You what?
Just between us?
And this was from Kurt Alina, who used to be the president of PEZ in the US. So you open it up.
So I guess I just had to.
1965. Let's see. This is from my first pin I ever did for a convention. That was ANCP, Annual National PEZ Convention. Again, just some of the artwork. I'm just doing. Here was one of the quilts that Pezomania did one year, and I was lucky enough to win that. It was in a charity raffle. All the different hosts donated shirts, and then somebody sewed that up and put it together. Again, anybody who's been to my PEZ basement, they know that when they're coming here, most of the time we're spending right here at the workshop, and you decide what you want to drink. And Landon's pretty good, pretty talented palate there. He knew about the single malt scotches, and we tapped into those. But like I said, he can tell
I
you
always
stories.
know which shelf to go for.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I try to hide it. I don't put everything on the top shelf like they say. And the pecan punch, that's the killer one. That's one thing that if you drink that, you're lucky to survive. But anyway, and then here's some, like everybody, I have pop PEZ. All of these have been signed by Brian Mariotti. So I'm happy to have those. When you come into this room, also you can see high up, I try to utilize every part of the house, the basement that is, for PEZ. And again, this house I've been in 20 years. I built this basement about 16 years ago with my wife's consent that all PEZ stays in the basement. Well, that didn't stay long. They're upstairs also. This is a set people don't see very often. The masked and unmasked in the boxes is something neat. Then there's the pirate box up there. And then this is some of the weird things that PEZ did with the eyeglass company. I think you can see that. And then here's the vending machine artwork, and then here's that vending machine right underneath it. This vending machine underneath here, much, much harder to find. I at first thought it was a fake, that it was a converted condom machine, but they have some of those. They have that machine actually at the PEZ Visitor Center. So I know that's the real deal. Here is a whole another bunch of PEZ. Everything on this shelf is fantasy, but I like the HR Puffin Stuff one. And then I like the Princess Diana one that somebody made for me. Okay, I'm going to try to head upstairs to show more items. Let me turn one of these. There's one light here. I don't like to leave a light on that covers this. That's my best box that I have. And I tend to not want to leave any light on for it, just because I don't want it to fade at all. Okay, so when you come down to the basement, what you see first is this sign basically saying PEZ Place and Cool PEZ Man. Now it's messy over here, but all these things here, all the little albums are all PEZ paperwork. And again, I'm not about to go into all that, but there's a lot of that. And now I'm heading upstairs. And you can see the Labatt there on the back wall of our kitchen. And then over here, again, I apologize, the lighting is probably not good in here, but I really like these little metal boxes. Can you see that? And that particular box, I'm probably not going to be able to open it one-handed. You can see it's really shiny gold inside. And as good a condition that's in, I actually have one even in better condition that I keep cut and cased. Then here's a bunch more of the boxes. Here's a fun little made up one, Hairspray. Somebody did that. I really like that. Here's more stuff from the Landon trip. We actually had a dispenser. That was cool. This a little like, looks like an ashtray. I don't know what is this. I've only seen once before, other than the ones that are at the visitor center. That doesn't ever come up for sale. Here's another weird thing made by a ball bearing company for skateboards. But then, you know, you put the head back and out came a set of bearings. There, I love that. Thank you, Brian Diskowski. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, here's kind of a tough to get pumpkin, that version. And talking to Joe Piravati, there's a little mark on him that evidently all of them have. His had, it's on the face. There's that little dot or hole. His has it, and everybody else I've talked to that had it, theirs had that same little hole. That have real ones. The bad thing is there's a lot of these things that there are other versions of that I'm not so sure about. Oh, here's another one people really like, the Freddie Funko in gold. Again, signed. I was lucky to get that. And here's some colored versions of test pieces, supposedly. Well, at least when I bought them, I paid test piece prices for them. But I've had those, oh gosh, 15 years or so. And then Kathleen Inabino, I was able to get this Metro, that weird box thing that they had for a short while, that green one with the Earth sign. I had to get it. Here's something also, way back in the beginning of collecting, me and Marianne Kennedy, I had the opportunity to get this. That's actually a jump rope that was made by PEZ. The little insert there tells you that. I bought that, and I believe at the same time Marianne bought it's a little camera that has one picture in it of PEZ from way, way back. Oh, somebody asked, is the Metro thing fantasy? No, some company made that without permission, I guess, and that was it. So they got a cease and desist order, but some of them were already out there to the public, and I was able to get one of those. Here, this is just a sheet of stamps, but it's nicely framed. Here's another quilt in the hall from a PEZ convention. It's all St. Louis ones on that. And here's another bathroom, and you can see here's more PEZ in the restroom. And there's the PEZ calendar for this year. And let's go. This is our bedroom. The only PEZ in here is Peter PEZ, mainly. All these are ones that glow in the dark. Yeah. So they were actually allowed up in the main bedroom. Okay, here's some more artwork. And then I was telling you how I like the Erie Spectres. So here's my Erie Spectre header card. And the frame's probably way more expensive than the Erie Spectre card. And then here's another really nicely framed item. And again, a lot of these things are framed so wonderfully. Were not framed by me. Another collector, Mark Borland, a good friend of mine, he did all this, but he got out of the hobby, and I was able to buy things from him. This is one of my favorite all-time displays. It's got two of the psychedelic ad sheets, the front and back. It's got the insert from the 6-pack of candy and the 6-pack of candy. And then it's got the very rare, that top piece, it actually folds. And on the sides is some sticky stuff, actually to put it like in a window. And to go with that, there was other ones. This one up here, that one goes with it. In other words, there was 4 different ones. That's the second version. This is the third version. And the only one I'm missing is the Christmas version. And then I always liked Scooby-Doo. And in 2018, Pezomania had Scooby-Doo as one of the things, I guess it came in your packet. And then in their hospitality room, you could buy the other ones. So I did get the whole set. And basically it's the same ones, only they have the stems printed up. But really, I really like those. And then next to those are a couple of Laura's Maud Pez. I have some more of them over here on top that she did. I don't know if you can see them. Tweety is in there. And the first row, you can probably see Iron Man. I think Iron Man turned out really well. Sylvester, I thought that turned out well. I thought this egg was quite weird, but I had to have it. So, and then there's crystals. And then this bottom ones are all different convention Pez. On the back are Squidwards and SpongeBob. I always liked the SpongeBob, and I wanted him to have his underpants on, and those all do the versions. And then Josh's convention, the Pig 1 and Pig 2, I have both of those. Happy to get that. That was neat. Here's more of the Pop Pez. And again, I'm a big fan of H.R. Puffin stuff. I was happy to see they made that. This is another very, very, very tough one to get. It's the Universal Monsters. That's 2 sheets. That's a front and a back. And again, all my artwork is original. None of these are reproductions or prints. Here's a Batman front and back. Green Hornet, another tough one. Sorry, there's glare. Box figurine. This is a Make-A-Face card by itself with, never been used. I like that. And then I also like the fat-eared bunnies just because they're so weird. I've always liked them. So here I have the yellow ones, and I also have pink. The pinks are downstairs. Here's more artwork. Another display. I don't know if I showed any of this. And these clowns were all done by Sylvia. And
John, we're running out of time. Is there something that you really want to show us before we have to go?
Yeah, I'll run back down and show a glance at another room
Okay.
that I didn't show. Sorry
Okay.
about that. I was not keeping track of
problem.
time. I didn't know if I was
I was
lagging or
supposed to
what.
be tracking your time,
Okay.
but I was so interested in what you were showing, I forgot to
Okay.
pay attention.
So this room, when people come down here, I usually keep it closed. But this is my other PEZ room. I'll just do a quick glance. And in 2001, General Mills cereal did their commercial actually in St. Louis. They debuted their cereal actually there. And the display is actually this that they had in the commercial. That was used in the commercial. I was lucky to get that also. But these are all my mint and package cello stuff. Again, I'm sorry, I'm going fast now. And again, I really like the, the ones you sign yourself. And also back to the Erie Specters, I like those. All this stuff here is people that don't collect PEZ, but they like the totems or yummies, TV pals. This is quite an extensive collection of those. Some more of the signed things by Brian Mariotti. And signage. One of the PEZ signs, I'm sorry, license plates. And then back in 93, this is my license plate off my car. And I let that run out, so now I don't have that. I guess that's it for now. I definitely want to at least get a glance of that room. So.
Yeah, I was at your house for a day and I didn't see everything, so I can only imagine there's a lot more to see.
Right.
But if you have questions for John, or you have you want to know more about something you saw, you can message John directly. He'll help you out with that. He's very knowledgeable, knows a lot. He is the cool PEZ man, after all.
Right. Okay.
He is the cool one.
Right.
So thank you, John.
Thank you very